Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Taking Up Space on Michelle A. Mayer podcast. Always excited about coming forward, you guys. Today is absolutely no different. I have a conversation that I want to bring forth to you today. And that is, a lot of times things are not what they seem to be. And a lot of times, y'all, the strongest people that God sends forth in front of you to assist his children want to give up. Y'all, I'm telling you, many people don't speak to the lows of being called to do a thing. They only want to speak to the highs and the theatrics and all of the monumental wins and how great they were, but they don't want to speak to the ambiguity. They don't really want to even speak to the real truth of what they're dealing with, those that have come forth and have dealt with, have actually dealt with. They don't want to speak to the ugly stuff. They only want to speak to the triumphs. They only want to speak to the successes and all of the goodness that comes from the success. But I'm here to tell you that in anything you do that has a tremendous calling attached to it, there are going to be more of what one would consider losses than there ever will be successes. And the losses aren't really L's. They aren't really losses in the sense of you losing anything that is of real value. The losses come in the form of tribulatory experiences, things that forge a better you through trial and tribulation. So they're not really losses. They're more so tribulations, hardships, deep, significant episodes of self-doubt. They come forth as misunderstandings, rumors, lies, deception, being cast upon one another while they are going through an extremely tribulatory experience. It comes in the form of having a hard time in life, and then all those that are surrounding you that you would normally think to support you, turn their back up on you and betray you. It's having a hard time in life coupled with having more hard times in life. It's kicking the guy when he's down. It comes in the form of not having anyone to tell it to. It's one thing to have a hard time in life and have a support system that you've always relied upon, people that you just knew would be there for you, and then going through a very difficult time in your life and not having those people. And not even not having those people, but finding those people to be deceptive while you're going through that hard time. Coming to the true knowledge of those people and then finding it to be a rug pull. These are the things that many of the great ones will go through, friends. I'm here to tell you. And I could use Jeremiah, I could use Elijah as examples to this. Both of these people, Jeremiah and Elijah, were prophets of God during a pivotal time. We just spoke to Friday, it's actually Sunday, we spoke to how God would use certain people to lead by example amongst the people. How God would come upon Moses and tell Moses, okay, I need to speak to you guys because where we're about to go to, I need to give you a heads up. All this riffraff you guys have been having, one foot in, one foot out, I'm going to put an angel upon you. And this angel is not going to be understanding. He's not going to understand any of your faults. There's going to be a consequence and a repercussion. And the repercussions to the consequences are going to be strict. They're going to be very decisive and hurtful. So you need to know to be on your P's and Q's amongst this angel. They've gone through all of that. When we encounter Jeremiah and his experiences, we're encountering Jeremiah at a place where the people are at a very big fork in the road. During the time that Jeremiah comes forth in the Bible is a pivotal time. And it's a time of immense change. It's a time where Jeremiah sees where the truck is going, and he's trying to hit the brakes, but the truck is so heavy that he can't stop it. And he's coming amongst the people and he's saying, we've got to do something about this. We've got to change our ways. God is going to punish us. We already know what is going to happen. We need to at least show some concern for our own selves. So much so that Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 20, he says, then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. He has spoken so much to these people, to all 12 tribes. These are 12 mighty nations. He's spoken so much day in and day out to these people. But all he's gotten back was rebuke, open rebuke. They talk about him. They're making fun of him. They're so petty. They're not meeting him where he's at intellectually on a spiritual level. They're defaulting down to low-level nonsense that does not matter. And they're trying to hurt his feelings. You ever had someone like that? Whereas you've devoted an extended amount of time in mastering something or in knowing something, even if it's yourself. And you've come upon this person or this group of people or these people, and you're offering gifts to these people because you see that they're not there. They could be strong in another attribute, but they're not strong within the attributes that really matter because it's showing in their lives. And you come upon them and you tell them some things that really matter. And they know that what you're saying is truthful. Yet, they're so hung up on pride. They're so hung up on what all of the nonsense has gotten them, that it has made them feel formidable. And they look at you like, who are you to come upon me feeling just as formidable as I feel? They look at you as if you haven't built your level of confidence up like me. You couldn't have. Why? Because you don't have the things that I have. The only reason I feel this confident is because of things. Yet you come upon me and you haven't built your level of you're coming upon me as if you have built your level of confidence up just as much as I have. But I don't see these things. Oh, you don't honor things like I do. Your level of confidence comes from something else. Oh, it must come from that thing that you're trying to show me. And even though I know it's truth for all the things that you're telling me, it's like a rug pull. Because in order for me to align to that, I've got to pull the rug from up under my feet, and I built everything on this rug. This is Jeremiah. So instead of them coming to you and acknowledging what you're saying, or instead of them coming to Jeremiah and acknowledging what Jeremiah is teaching, they don't want to acknowledge it. Because to acknowledge it gives Jeremiah in their mind some power. And they already see Jeremiah as righteous and powerful. This is what makes them feel a certain kind of way. And they hate it. So what do? They make mockery of Jeremiah. They tease him. Grown people. Defaulting back to an elementary mindset in the face of extreme change. These people do not know what is before them. They don't know that there is a calamity coming that they're not going to recover from. That the houses that they have built and the name that they have built in these houses are going to be zeroed down, leveled, sunken. They will never regain any level of posterity, dexterity, prominence. They will not. Yet if they took heed to what this one man that came before them was telling them, that felt just as confident in himself or more because he built his house upon a solid rock while they built theirs on sand, they wouldn't have experienced what they experienced. And Jeremiah is at the point in scripture where he's saying, I will not make mention of him. He's talking about God. I will not make mention of God, nor speak any more in his name. I'm not going to speak of him to you. I'm not even going to make a mention of him to you. If you don't care, I don't care either, friend. He will live in my heart and within my mind. But as for you, figure it out. And then, but his word was in my heart as a burning fire, shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. Friend, he's saying, in the face of these people and my frustrations with these people, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to make it about me. But this monumental journey that God would lead me on would lessen me the more I walked it. This journey is not about any one person. It's about the collective. It's about everybody. Every child of God under the sun. There are 12 tribes within this house. Distinct nations. And all those that come forth, just like Jeremiah, are servants to these nations. And even though these people are childish, they want to be better than each other, judgmental, even though they swear they're not, hypocritical, they hide their sins and judge others for things that they may not do, but they sin the same. Jeremiah is saying, I wanted to stop speaking to God to you. Then I said, I will not make mention of him, nor speak any more in his name. But his word was in my heart as a burning fire shut up in my bones. And I was weary with forbearing, and I could not stay. I couldn't keep my word. I couldn't stay still. I couldn't keep it to myself. This is goodness that we openly rebuke. When do we stop rebuking goodness? When do we stop thinking goodness is weakness? We can't even park it there. We can go further. Elijah, what Elijah did, many people do not really grasp the totality of it, because you would have to really understand what it's like to be in certain spiritual, to have certain spiritual experiences. You from a surface level perspective, you get it, but you don't really get the deepness of it unless you walk it. If you've never been attacked spiritually, you'll never really grasp the totality of what's going on here. Because what Elijah would experience when he waged war with the 400 or 450 prophets of Baal would be, after this, would be a deeply harrowing spiritual attack. All at once. So much so that it makes the mighty man of God go upon a heightened place and put his head between his knees while sitting on the earth. This man, just by himself, went and waged war with a whole nation of prophets. The prophets that Elijah waged war with, friend, were not just regular prophets. These are prophets of the God of the house of Baal. These were some of the mightiest witches and wizards of the day, all coagulated under the roof of Israel by way of Jezebel. Everybody wanted the power. What we're looking at here is a Moses and Pharaoh, except for Pharaoh is now under the house of Israel. Moses didn't need to go into Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh had coagulated his kingdom under the house of Israel because of all that God had done up to that point. Nobody had ever done this. It changed the whole trajectory of the world. God against the fallen angels. And here comes Elijah, one man. We do not get an understanding of who Elijah was except for being a Tishbite. We don't have a full history of Elijah's family and his upbringing and how he came to be called and brought forward and what his childhood was like and who he had as a mentor and who taught him and what was his walk with God prior to all of these things that he coming into his debut in the Bible. We don't know. All we know is Elijah comes forth and he gets a word and he moves on it. And he comes upon Jezebel and her prophets, and he unalives them. Yet I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on, after all that stuff is done, we get to a point in scripture where Ahaz speaks to Jezebel and tells her what has happened. And Ahaz told Jezebel, 1 Kings chapter 19. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and with all how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah. She sent a footman, a messenger. We don't know who this messenger was. We don't know if it was an angel. Was this a vision that Elijah got? How did the messenger get to Elijah? Who is this messenger? And Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, so let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. She sends a powerful threat that binds her. This is why, when we deal with these witches and witchcraft, we're dealing with people that have proven themselves through activity. The only way that you become a powerful witch is by doing a lot of witchcraft. There's no person that comes upon you and anoints you a powerful witch. It's not like that. In order to be a powerful witch, a sorcerer, a wizard, or any of the likes thereof, you've really gotten after it in the world of spirit. You've done all kinds of stuff. And a lot of the things that you do in order to become a powerful witch are wicked. So we're looking at a woman that has had an immense amount of experience in the spiritual realm, dealing with mighty spirits that focus and that are experts in doing wickedness. She has a lot of relationships in spirit. That is what is being conveyed here. And this is what I mean by you do not get the depth of what Elijah went through unless you understand this environment. You got to know what it's like. You won't know what makes a powerful witch powerful unless you understand what witches are. In order to be a powerful witch, you're just not powerful because you got a pen and a paper and you said, I want to do this and that to this person, and you took a picture and you got a piece of hair and you did. That's not making you powerful. You're good at arts and crafts, and you can use that coupled with your will as much as you can to get a result. But there's a ending point to that. You're going to need some extra power to give it some fire. And that's where these spirits come in. These spirits take that thing and go the extra mile with it. And then they go the full distance with it in their respective threshold and whatever their expertise is. And then once they've exhausted that extra mile that they can take it, they pass it off to another one that can take it further. You can think of it as that. It's an extremely intricate network of spirits that all focus on different stuff. That's what this is. This is what Elijah is dealing with. This is why I say, how did this messenger get to Elijah to even tell him this? Did it come in the form of a thought? Was it actually a physical messenger? Because that's what these entities do. They're great at sending you an idea. We see that with Eve in the garden. He gave her an idea. Nonetheless, the Bible doesn't detail all the specifics. He said, this is done. An angel Jezebel sent with words of condemnation. She was sure of her power. Why? Because her power had seen her a success, a very pivotal success. She's the queen of Israel. The likelihood that she would even be able to do that got her stripes all up and down her arms. She got a huge train behind her just from that. So she has a heightened mindset. She feels very confident in herself. But her confidence is based on sand. It's not based on a rock. And for a season, she will stand on that sand. But when a storm comes, when the waters prevail, she gets sunken in that sand. There is no stability. There's nothing to hold on to. Those demons and those spirits that she would work with so intimately with, that she was so highly networked with, are like the spirits that the world dealt with before the flood, and that they were all so highly networked with. They depended on nature. They depended on mother, which is extreme power. All of this is nature. All of it. Whatever you see in this life that is man's creation is dependent upon nature. The car you drive, it depends on forms of nature to make it move. It is dependent upon nature to rest. It's on the earth. It depends on nature so that it can be useful. If it's flooded, you can't drive it. If it's broken up because it's burnt up, you can't drive it. If the roads are broken up, you can't drive it. Everything is dependent upon nature. Every single thing in this life is dependent. Everything in this life nurses and suckles from the breast of nature. Everything. So when we see Jezebel sending a messenger to Elijah with all of this confidence, she's big mad. She's saying, I'll be doggone. Oh, you want to come up in here and do this? She's gotten the wrong ideology. She's made the kingdom her kingdom. You can tell by the way she's acting. Oh, you want to come up in this kingdom as if Elijah is a foreigner to this kingdom. This is Elijah's kingdom. And he was sent by God. But she has become so enamored in her witchcraft and the success of it that it has blinded her to the reality. This is what happens. You become blind to the reality. You've allowed the sorcery, the lie, the deception, all the creations to create another reality for you. And you bask in that and only that. And you let it heighten you and pump you up and make you feel as if you are somebody when really you're not. You're just living in a false reality. But then when truth steps in, truth that doesn't care about anything that you care about because it doesn't believe the lie. It can distinguish between the false and the truth. For it bears witness to the truth. It comes as a messenger of truth, not representing any of the falseness, not even paying it any attention, not allowing it to corrupt them, not being impressed by the falsehood or the creations. If Elijah was impressed by the falsehood and the creations, he could have been corrupted by Jezebel and Ahab. And because he could not be corrupted by Jezebel and Ahab, he was an enemy to them. Because they got everything banking on the falsehood, the lie. They cannot afford to trouble the lie or change the lie, because in doing so, everything else is affected. She comes with this huge threat. And this is where it gets interesting. So let the gods do to me and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of those by tomorrow about this time. She says, let God and the gods and whoever else do whatever they want to me. If I do not make your life to be like the lives of my prophets that you've slain by tomorrow. This is a huge threat. But it's only huge when you understand who she was. This is an embodiment of a spirit. Elijah is not looking at Jezebel, the person. Elijah is looking at Jezebel's representation to her God. And verse 3, and when he saw that, he arose. When he saw that. This is why I say, what was this messenger? It couldn't have been a person. Jezebel sent Elijah a vision. He saw it. Why didn't the Bible just say when he heard that? The Bible does not make mistakes like this. The Bible does not say typo. No. It needed to mention the way that Elijah got this message because it wants you to know, if you pay attention enough, exactly what's going on here. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. She sent him a vision in spirit. And he says, I got to get moving. He did like David did when David resorted to the ephod and asked God, are the Philistines, are these people going to give me up to the Philistines while he was at Keilah? And God said, yep. And David did what? He immediately rose up and broke up the men in his camp and sent everybody in different directions. This is the same thing. he immediately arose and went for his life. He went to save his own life, because had he stayed in that region amongst Jezebel, he felt as though there was a strong probability of. And he goes and he gets to Judah, and he leaves a servant in Judah. And then he goes in a day's journey into the wilderness. And he sat under a tree, juniper tree. And he asked that he might die. Why didn't he just stay where he was before? If Jezebel said that by this time tomorrow, you're going to be up out of here, and he was done, why didn't he just stay where he heard the threat? He needed time to think it through. We know how this goes. He needed time to think it through. He needed time to reflect and say, how do I make sense of all of this? How do I come to terms with this? This is a heavy burden. Little old me, carrying the weight of all of this. And he gets to Judah and he drops off his servant. And by the time he gets to Judah, he's saying, you know what, I'm tired of this. I got feelings too. I matter. I'm not a robot. Surely, Father, I'll do your work for you. I'm going to do your will. But dang. And no word from God. God hasn't given him any direction. God hasn't given him any other information. He's fulfilled his job, his duty. He's done it. And now he's going off of his own insight and intellect. And he gets to the wilderness. He's saying, I got to get by myself and think. I need to rethink this. I can't escape the calling that God has put upon me. I've been put in a situation where I have acted out of love and out of righteousness. I can understand if I came forth and I acted out of unrighteousness and there was no goodness in it. It is embedded in strength and honor and integrity and character and goodness and righteousness, all that I have done. I have put up a good fight for righteousness. And it just keeps going. No end in sight. And he gets to the wilderness and he sits under the juniper tree. And he says, Father, and he requested for himself that he might die. And said, it is enough. I done had enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. He's living in the power. He's saying to himself as words of encouragement, how do I complain when all of those that have come before me did monumental things? I can too. He's looking for the promise. I'm looking for you. Where is this promise? I'm doing everything you have asked me to do. Where is the promise? All of the promises I see and I speak to them and I support them and I protect them and I lead with them and I teach people of them. Where are they? For me. Where are they for me? Little old me. Am I just the sounding board of these promises? Am I just the enactor and the protector of this word? Am I just here to act it out? Or am I to benefit from it? Where is it? And as he lay and slept under the juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. These are not ideas that I'm putting forth, that I'm pulling from the sky. We all can relate to these things at some time or another in our lives. We all can relate. The man has gone through a tremendous thing. He's going from one extreme to the next, just back to back. It's as if God is looking to get the most out of him, out of this particular time period, without any rest. No consideration. Where is the consideration? No rest. You ever been there? Like you're a machine. No rest at all. No concern. No agreement. No positive reinforcement. No feedback. But you constantly stay positive. We look at the word that Jeremiah had. He's saying, I'm tired. These people have made a mockery of me. Not that I care about what these people say. I see the sickness that these people suffer. I don't suffer such a sickness, but it takes a lot to deal with it. The compassionate nature that you must have to do such things weighs so heavy on you. It's a suffering. There's no other word to call it. It's a suffering. Elijah is suffering. Jeremiah was suffering silently. Suffering. Not in a way that they feel as if that they're not capable. Elijah saw himself capable. He was just tired. He's exhausted. He didn't have a choice. And if he gave up, he feels as if he's letting his community down. Not even community. He feels like he's letting his God down. He feels like at the end of the day, in that moment, he feels like I'm able to manage this to the point that I can see this from an aerial perspective and control myself. Surely right now I want to quit and walk away. But I know tomorrow, from an aerial perspective, I can see that tomorrow I'm going to regret it because I knew I had what it took to keep going. It was just at that moment I was overly overwhelmed. This is where Elijah is. And this is where many of the great ones are. This is where many of you have been. It's not that you don't have it. It's not that the enemy is prevailing. Because weak people get off on this kind of stuff. It makes them feel strong to see someone that they know is strong deal with mortal issues that they feel like they have created. But they've created nothing. They have just set the environment for God to do a phenomenal thing, friend. When Elijah says, I'm done, I can't go any further with this, I need some support. What Elijah is conveying to God is that I need some support. You know, he was in tears. You know, he was weeping. And he's saying, I'm sorry that I'm disappointing you, that I'm not able to live up to the expectation that you've had of me. On one hand, I'm proud that you have such faith and knowing in me, and that you will use me as your avatar for such a great monumental thing. And I've done my best to fulfill all that you have endowed within me to fulfill. It makes me feel good to know that I've lived up to my expectation in this life, that I stood for something in this life. Not because I want to make my name great, but because I added something very good and nutritious to a pot that lacked nutrients. That I came forth as seasoning, as nutrition to a pot that had been watered down. But boy, am I tired. I'm tired. And I apologize to you for not being able to live up to the expectation that you have seen in me. Because it took a lot for me to come forth and tell you I'm tired. I didn't want to come and tell you I'm tired. I wanted to sleep it off and get up in the morning and do it again and be revitalized and try it again. But I've done that so many times that I'm just tired of this. And that was the cause of the change. When he wakes up, from after he cries himself to sleep, because you know that's what he did. He has food cooking. Don't it feel nice to have people care for you? Somebody to come in and just, you're like, dang, what is that smell? Oh my God, that's food. I didn't have to get up and go to the grocery store and buy it and get home and cook it in all of my tiredness. It's one thing to be tired, y'all, and doing something monumental. And then it's another thing to be doing something monumental that takes a lot of strength to do, and then have to do everyday stuff too, at the same level you were doing it before all the monumental stuff came upon you. He wakes up to food cooked on a fire that he didn't have to make. He didn't have to go get the wood. He didn't have to go put the rocks up under it and find the way to light it and let it light and blow it and let it get big, and then get the fish, go fish and get the fish and bring it back and put it, and then go get the water. He didn't have to do none of that. All of that is a lot, especially when you're tired and you're dealing with a lot. It takes you back to your childhood, where you could just come home and you're like, oh wow, I could smell dinner from the front steps. When I was a kid, dinner was ready at 2:00, 3:00. I'm telling you, they have dinner ready 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We didn't wait till 8 o'clock at night to eat. 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It wasn't none of that. Dinner was ready by 3, 4 o'clock at the latest. And how good that felt for somebody to care for you, to pick up the slack, to be thoughtful just a little bit. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. He went back to sleep. And the angel of the Lord came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose, and did eat and drank, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights into Horeb, the mount of God. Elijah will come through extreme witchcraft. Only those that know what I'm talking about can understand. You ever had the enemy come upon you with everything he has, and God would not allow it to take root in your life, but you would get an idea of what it was? And just that idea alone can stop you in your tracks. It will propel you to think about it, to get some sort of handle on it. Not that you're mesmerized by it and you're fascinated, but you're looking for a way so that your fleshly self can gain some traction in it. If you observe it, maybe I can observe it, and then the Holy Spirit will give me an idea as to how I can dominate it. It is not for him to try to figure out. And because he couldn't figure it out, he said, I just want to be done with this. It's not that big of a deal to me. But because I love you. This isn't a thing of our existence. This is the foundation of my being. How do you walk away? And after those experiences, God would he would go on, and he would go, and he would have an experience with God in a cave, and God would tell him. God wouldn't come upon him and say, Get over here, Elijah. Come on, come lay up under me. I love you. You know you're my baby. I know you're tired. I only sent you because I know you could do it. You know I've been watching you since you were a baby. Do you know I had you created and conceived to your parents because I had this in mind for you? Sit up and look at me. Look at me. Do you know how much I love you? Look. You're a king. You're my big boy. You're a mighty man of valor. Look at me. Look at me. God didn't do none of that. God said, Here I am. I know you're unsure. You see, many people think that when you're doing things of God, that it is you gotten a handwritten letter from God. And it's like, okay, God sent me a letter today, and he said to go to Jezebel and do all of these things. When Elijah gets the idea to go to Jezebel, he's in spirit to go to Ahab. He has nothing tangible to rely it to. He has nothing tangible. He got an idea to go to Jezebel and Ahab. He was in spirit, and God told him in spirit to go do these things. He's trusting on his own knowing. He's trusting on what comes forth as what others will consider an idea. Oh my goodness. And he goes and he cross-references the idea with the laws of God and what he sees going on within the house. And he justifies his actions off of that. Sovereignty. One man. And then God says, go over here to this river. I'm going to dry the stream up. I'm going to send the ravens to feed you. Another idea. He has nothing to bank it on. If you was to come upon him and ask him at that today, in today's society, if he were to be doing these things and you come upon him and ask him, you would say he's crazy. Oh, God told you to go over there and do that? Okay. Okay. Let me see some identification. And yeah. But God, this is what Elijah would do. When he goes to Jezebel and all the prophets, they respect Elijah because they know his resume. They can bank on who he is in spirit by his choices that he's made in his life. Period. Life decisions. Are you walking it like you talk it? Or are you just out here perpetrating a fraud? This is why Elijah's name held weight. Elijah's name held weight because he was walking it like he talked it. You saw a result from your interactions with Elijah. Period. Jezebel and her prophets will see a result from their interactions with Elijah. And even though Jezebel would make Elijah run and he would be afraid, not more so of her, but her relationship with the god Baal. Yes. He would feel like it was overwhelming. She had relationships in the earth and she had relationships in spirit. You remember, Jezebel is a Phoenician princess. The Phoenicians were master merchants. They were renowned across the planet. At this time, the Phoenicians were kings. Royalty. They were a royal house. Majestic house. So to wage war on this level really ostracized Elijah. He already didn't have many friends. Now he's very limited. He has multiplied his enemies in the earth, and he has multiplied his enemies in spirit. It's overwhelming. One man. Yet God would walk with Elijah, baby. Friend, I'm here to tell you, God will walk with you. God will walk with you. And Jezebel will send Elijah some of her most pungent witchcraft. He had already gotten a dose of it prior to her sending this word. By the time Jezebel sent Elijah the word, he had already went on top of the mountain and put his head between his knees. This was before she even knew what happened. And now that she knows, he's really getting hit. What the Bible is conveying is Elijah being attacked with witchcraft. I don't care who you are, if you don't agree, we can go one-on-one with it. This will be one of the only things that I debate. There's no way around it. And he doesn't feel like he wants to go any further with it. He's going from one extreme to the next, to the next, to the next, without any break. Yet he's successful each and every step of the way. He gets to a point where he's at the cave and God shows himself. Now he's at a place where God says, I'm going to give you some reassurance. I'm going to show you physically that I'm with you. Here I am. And then after God shows him, God doesn't say, like I said, God doesn't, come here, Elijah. Come on. Come on. God doesn't he doesn't pick Elijah up and pat him on the butt. Come on. I know you're tired. Come on. No, he doesn't do that. He says this, and the Lord said unto him, Go return on thy way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when thou comest, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria. And Jehu the son of Nimshi shalt thou anoint to be king over Israel. And Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel-Meholah shalt thou anoint to be prophet in thy room. And it shall come to pass that him that escapeth the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay. And him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which have not kissed him. And what will come is Jehu will cause Jezebel to fall because of what she did in the house of Israel. The woman that called herself waging war with God's anointed will fall. If you were to have met Elijah or come into Elijah's storyline and just have heard of Elijah and come in and were introduced to him between the time that he laid down the prophets of Baal and the time that he introduces himself in anointing Hazael king over Syria, you could create all kind of stuff on Elijah. This is what they do. But Elijah did a monumental thing, friend. A monumental thing. Without ever seeing God and having a vision from God to do it. Elijah was not unmotivated. He wasn't confused. He did not need direction in the sense of direction from people. He needed rest. He needed affirmation from God. And God would know this. And this is why God would send the angel to come and help Elijah do the everyday stuff that we all are bound to. Yet Elijah would need it the more because he was just overwhelmed. And in him finding that amount of rest, it would allow Elijah the ability to get up and go 40 days off of just that rest and that nourishment to get to another junction where he will be spiritually nourished and encouraged mentally by way of his interaction with God while in the cave. And then after this level of nourishment, God could command Elijah directives. Go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. And Elijah will go and do it without knowing how it's all going to work itself out. And one would one would ask themselves, why would God not tell us the full story of everything. Why? His own prophet Elijah, would he just give him commandments to do certain things without telling him how it's all going to come together and the whys behind it? Well, because God knows the strengths and the weaknesses of the enemy. He knows that they can infiltrate your thoughts and read perspectives and ideas or even implant them. We just saw Jezebel sent him a vision. Jezebel sent Elijah a vision of what she wanted to do. And Elijah, in having enough discernment of God, could be able to distinguish between the vision from Jezebel and visions from God. Had Elijah not been trained and experienced in such, he would have thought Jezebel's vision was God's vision for him. This is what scripture is conveying to us, that we don't get unless you've walked it. You wouldn't even have seen that. And this is why I say you have to read this book several times. You can't just read this once. You'll not understand exactly what's going on here. This is a study. It literally is. All of which Elijah would experience, and it would all make him better. All of it will make him better. This is my podcast episode for you today. Elijah would see no way of going any further with what he had. He had exhausted it. He had reached his threshold in what God had led him to do. Yet those that he was waging war with had not reached their threshold. They would still want to fight. They would still want to continue to try to maintain some level of control and substance. And this is what frustrated Elijah. Have you ever gotten there where you've reached your threshold in something? You're like, okay, I've done as much as I can in this capacity. And a new door, it seems as if it does not want to open for me. And I could try to spend my time in kicking this door down, but it was never my idea to even be in this particular room that I'm in. I've been led here. And you know your walk with God, and you know the alignment and the movement and how God moves and in which way and your role. And you're too wise to kick a door down. These are the things that the enemy does, friend, to try to get you out of alignment. Elijah is at his threshold with this whole situation. Mission complete. Yet the enemies of God are not at their threshold, and they know God's system. So they take advantage. This is Jezebel taking advantage. Holding Elijah to the laws of God. Even though it's inconveniencing to Elijah, he stays in alignment. And he gets up and he moves around. And he gets to a place where he says, I'm tired of this. Instead of Jezebel ever taking upon the idea of, let me do something right, she doesn't ever change her mind. Your enemies will not change their mind. And Elijah didn't expect them to. And you don't either. But he wanted to get beyond it. He wanted to embark on something new, in which God would lead him to. He would get to Mount Horeb and God would give him new directives. And now he's inspired and he's okay with it because he wants to keep moving. It's the sitting still and dealing with the negatives that get you. And while you're sitting still and dealing with the negatives, it takes everything to stay motivated. This is the place where people will come upon you and label you as lazy. Oh, she's lazy. They'll do anything to discredit you because they know how monumental the fight has been with you. So what do? They're great at creating falsehoods, lies, trickery, deception, smoke and mirrors. That they want to make it seem like other people believe. They want you to believe that other people believe their lies so that you feed into it. Elijah is going through something similar to this. He's sitting on his hands. And he's tired. He's physically exhausted and he's emotionally exhausted and he's mentally exhausted. He's just tired. Yet God sends him provisioning. He didn't have the food. He didn't have all the things that he needed to make his own provisioning. He's tired. And God sends him his provisioning. You don't see anywhere where an angel came and he wrestled with another angel to stop Elijah from getting his provisioning. God will provide Elijah his provisioning, and God will do it for you. For you to get to your next junction, your Mount Horeb, where you can go have an interaction with God and get directives as to what is next for you. And while you are in these processes, it is the nature of your enemy to try to get you out of alignment. It is his nature. Yet you must stay in alignment the same. And with each step that the enemy takes in interacting with you, with negativity, whatever they throw out, they just add another element to that which will be held against them. They do. All of it counts against them. And all of it will serve you. All of it will make you better. How? Because you have the experiences in interacting with it. You got the experience. Oh my goodness, y'all. These podcast episodes are sure getting interesting. This is my word for you today. You love more than you'll ever know. Bible study tomorrow. Be good to yourselves and be good to one another. Peace and love.